Okay, so the first topic that I want to cover is what I call practicing and refining your craft. So the first and foremost thing is you can't be a writer unless you write, right? So you gotta write. And believe it or not, that can be sometimes, for some writers, that is their biggest challenge. It's like the thing that they least want to do in the world. If you ask them, can you network? Can you go to events? Can you market? Can you design things? Can you, and they're like, yeah, they're all about it. But then you're like, can you sit down and write 1,000 words for me? They're like, no. So that can be a big challenge. So my advice for that is just to write as much as you possibly can and find all sorts of ways to do it. It does get really boring if you're writing the same thing all the time. So I mentioned a couple of different ways that you can find opportunities. Sites like Elance or even Craigslist sometimes can get you small projects where you can earn experience, practice your writing, and build your resume. Now I did include also in it a copy of what I call my writer's resume. This is a really good thing to have, not only to market yourself, because you might want to use this when you talk to other people, so you can show them this. They ask, well, what kind of experience do you have? Well, before I want you to ghostwrite, but I need to know that you've done other stuff. They're probably going to ask for writing samples, but if you have a writer's resume that you can send them, that gives them a clear-cut vision of everything that you've previously done. The other reason to have it is for your own self-satisfaction, and I do not underestimate that at all. Because once I actually sat down and thought about what are all the things that I've done, what are all the newspaper articles that I've written, what are all the books that I've written, or ghostwriting or commissioned work that I've done, turns out actually quite a lot. But if you asked me, oh, have you done a lot of work as a writer? Naturally I would say no. Like, no, not really. But in reality I have, I just don't have time to sit down and really think about it. So taking that moment to sit down and actually make a collection of your work, just like you would do a professional resume for a job or anything else, helps give you a sense of accomplishment. So you can refer back to other experiences that you've had. My other tidbit on that is this is the debate between whether or not you're an amateur or a professional. And here's my answer to that. If anyone has ever paid you for any amount of writing work, you are a professional. That's what makes you a professional, is whether or not somebody's put money in your hand. Now, with other professions, with other industries, you talk about being like certified. So if you think about like skilled labor, like a welder or carpenter, and you're like, oh, they're certified, that's what makes them a professional. But in the writing world, in the artistic world, we don't really have that. So for me, what it really comes down to is whether or not you've been paid. And that's important because even if you do something as small as, you have a friend who has you pick out the font and the format for their wedding invitations. Well, you do it, and you put those invitations together, and they say, oh, here's $20, thanks, that was really nice of you. You're now a professional writer because you did it. Now, technically, you didn't really write anything, but you still, you did the whole copy print part. So you are really, by my definition, a professional at that point because you've received money for your work. And that's important because when you go out and you talk to other people about your writing, you want other people to buy your work. You want other people to support you, to invest in you. You can't go to them thinking of yourself as an amateur and then expect them to support you. It won't work. So having that knowledge that, yes, I've been paid for my work in the past and I plan to continue to get paid for my work in the future is a big positive in your favor. So a couple other ways to practice. Attending a creative or technical writing class, keeping a journal or dream diary, joining a fan fiction group, working or volunteering as a proofreader, because there are always people out there, whether it's for class, for school, for essays, there are always people out there looking for somebody to just look over their work and proofread it for them. And that's really helpful for you because even though you're not going to make money doing that, it helps refine your skills. Okay? And then of course reading. So a lot of writers don't read enough, but we all know if you go way back to like grade school, I just told you, if you want to be good at writing, read a lot. And it's true. It helps with vocab, helps with keeping your ideas and your characters fresh and new. And then online, on Amazon, for instance, there are a ton of books out there. Some of them are as cheap as like 99 cents. that you can download that can help you with your daily word count, planning your novel, and guiding you through the self-publishing process. Now, you probably don't need to pay for a book for self-publishing because I'm going to give you a bunch of free resources for that. But one of them, the word count per day thing. What I discovered, the tool that was most useful for me was a writing tracker. So, just like for people who are trying to lose weight, they use a calorie counter, or they use a meal tracker. They use something that every day they put in their information. It tells them how many calories they're at, or if there are too many calories, or not enough calories. People do the same thing with, of course, exercising. Like we have the Fitbits and we have Pebbles. A writing tracker is the same concept, just applied to writing. So you have, mine's just a simple spreadsheet. Super simple, super easy. I put in the date, and I put in how many words I'm at for my novel. It calculates and tells me how many words I wrote that day. At the very bottom of the page, it has them all totaled up, so I know how close I am to my goal of being finished. Helps for a lot of reasons. One, helps show you progress. Because writing a novel is kind of like climbing a mountain, right? And if you're just standing at the bottom of the mountain, you're looking at the tip of that mountain, it's forever. You feel like you're never going to get there. But if you can see that slow progress day by day or week by week, you know that you're chipping away at your final goal, you feel some sense of progress, like you're getting somewhere. So that's a big motivation. The other thing is it helps out with planning. So if you know, my recommendation is, if you're going to write a novel, do not go into that novel not knowing how long you want it to be. Have some idea. So for me, I know most fantasy fiction novels start about 80 to 85,000 words, so that's where I set my goal at. So know kind of about how long you're shooting for. That way, you know as you're getting closer and closer, you know that you're getting there. It also helps you to plan. So if you really have a deadline that you're really trying to make, like say, I really want to have this book done by the fall, by say mid-August. Well, you can look and say, how many words do I still have left to go? How much do I need to write per week? How much do I need to write per day? And that helps. And talking about that bulk, I'll get to a little bit later, but there's two different approaches to that. Now, I do want to add in a word of caution, and that is, because I mentioned deadlines. So, if you want to be a career writer, so now I'm taking this a step up. So, professional writer, you're getting paid for your writing, okay? It might take you 35 years to put together your first novel, but you do it, and then you publish it, and people buy it, and you're a professional. Now, to be a career writer is a little different. To be a career writer means that you're living off of your writing and nothing else. You have no other job, all you do is write. The standard for that, in order to do that, you need to produce 3 to 4 novels a year. Every year. Yeah. So that shifts the focus a little bit to where you're producing more bulk versus content. You're not so set on it. But they kind of make this the same joke with musicians or with bands, that they have 20 years to do their first album. They have 1 year to do their second. Right? It's the same thing with writers. If you want to get onto that continuous cycle of where you're getting generating profit, you're getting royalties, and you're just living off of them, you need to be churning out books pretty consistently. There's a reason why Stephen King is so successful, and it's not entirely to do with his talent. It's his talent to produce books, which is going to take me into the next part, which is making a name for yourself and building upon it.